Ladies and gentlemen, in a stunning twist of fate, and because the Bootneck loves to argue, he's even going to argue with himself. Because I shared this meme recently. We asked 100 people to name something you lose on holiday. You said citizenship. Our survey said... And that is funny. But after ruminating on the issue for a long time, I've changed my mind. And I'm going to disagree with my pals Paz and Rotten Politics and Simon Sideways and everybody else and tell you why Bootneck and Begz are sitting up a tree. K-I-S-S-I-N-G. So let's do it, shall we? Right, this issue. For the first few months, I piled in with everybody else, splitting my sides laughing at the fact that everybody's favourite jihadi bride had been unceremoniously binned off the Home Office's to-do list, right? And it made me chuckle. I thought, who cares? But after reading a lot about this issue of late, it begged a very obvious question to me. A man who insists upon applying logic and reason to everything he does, and most importantly, never, ever being as disgustingly hypocritical as the blot on humanity known as wokeism and the people that practice it. I'm going to do my level best to make you see things my way. And before you rage quit and throw your PC through your patio window, give me 2 minutes to do so. Everybody's favourite pro-terrorist news network reports at great length on Shamima Begum's background. What cannot be denied is that she was born and raised in the United Kingdom. And I think the reason we are all gleefully piling onto this issue and celebrating that, yes, finally we can exclude someone who thoroughly deserves it, is not because it's rational and logical, but because we have had to eat so many shit sandwiches regarding immigration, where time and time again we have tagged and bagged full-blown terrorists and then lost the appeals launched by activist human rights lawyers when we've tried to deport them. That now we're leaping onto anything that we can get our teeth into and say, yes, finally there's a win. We can finally deport someone who deserves it, or strip someone of citizenship who deserves it. But think of this rationally. The woke have always said that children are old enough to make rational decisions, and people like us, reasonable people, the reasonable majority, have always said no. I can give you dozens of examples. The Guardian and the SNP and the BBC have made lengthy arguments about why children should be allowed to vote. This raving lunatic has even said it should go down to 6. Yeah, he's sensible, isn't he? The far left have always done this because they've captured the education system and they want 14, 15, 16-year-olds to be able to vote so they can basically cheat. And they're even doing it now across the pond in the United States, with Democrats advocating letting teenagers start to vote. Trans kids are not new. A historian on the long record of youth transitioning in America. Yeah, there's another sex pest promoting children being able to get surgical interventions and take puberty blockers. And people like me, reasonable centrist people, have always said I have no issues with the trans community, but I do not believe that children are old enough to make this decision. If you're 23 and you want to lop your bowels off, call yourself Brenda and start scissoring using your calloused, baggy mangina. Yeah, you can crack on. I've got no issue with it taking place in the privacy of your own home, but I have serious issues with children doing it because I believe that children are not old enough to make difficult decisions. They shouldn't be voting, they shouldn't be transitioning, and they shouldn't be lecturing us about any major world issues, from war and famine to, well, the obvious one. The left, 15-year-olds who join ISIS are too young to know what they are doing. Also the left, 15-year-olds on climate change are experts. Yes, deeply irrational, isn't it? So that's the case that I'm making. Would we be desperate to celebrate the win with Shamima Begum if we had rightfully deported the hundreds of thousands of people that should have been deported? I'll say no. And if you want to remain consistent with your beliefs, as the Bootneck does, then you've got to stare into the mirror, recognise a difficult truth, and accept the fact that if we've been arguing for years that children are too young to make difficult decisions on voting, transitioning, on economics and climate change, then you have to accept the fact that Shamima Begz was 14 years old when she started getting groomed online by ISIS fighters, and she was 15 years old when she left. Which leads me to the inescapable conclusion that Shamima Begz should be brought back to the UK, tried, sentenced, probably spend quite a lot of time in prison, and then, yes, hopefully be rehabilitated and reintroduced to society, as long as she hasn't still got a penchant for wearing backpacks that hiss a lot. I even think it's related to another pretty old issue at this point, when the Gurkhas won the right to settle in the UK. Those of you that remember this will recall the strange position whereby Labour was arguing to keep them out, and the Conservatives were arguing to keep them in. And at the time, I disagreed with most Conservatives then too, because I pointed out that the Gurkhas are good lads, they do a good job, and I've got a soft spot for them. But they are mercenaries. Just because they do some work for us shouldn't automatically give them citizenship. But the Conservatives were all leaping on the bandwagon because they were so frustrated at a decade of ludicrous immigration by people we owe nothing to, that as soon as the Gurkhas turned up, they were all saying, yep, let them all in. And that was wrong as well. I demand consistency. And if you want to avoid being as hypocritical and ludicrous as the woke, because we know how ludicrous they are, they literally change their mind and do a complete 180 depending on the politics of the person you're talking about. If somebody left wing gets locked up for a couple of months for no reason, they're up in arms about it. And then when the same thing happens to someone like Andrew Tate, locked up for months without charge, showing flagrant disregard for habeas corpus, they love it because they don't like his politics. And if they lock Donald Trump up for 10 years hard labour, they'd love that as well. And people like me are always consistently arguing for freedom and liberalism, actual liberalism, for everybody, regardless of their politics. So that's me, ladies and gents. I have shot my bolt. I would love to hear what you think in the comments, but I think I've made a good case. And yes, the memes are funny. Here's another good one. Cancelled, Return of the Jihadi. I can laugh with the rest of you. But on this issue, I've got the right of it. And I think if you really think about it, the real reason for our ire is the ludicrous immigration process in the United Kingdom, and the fact that millions of people are in the UK that shouldn't be. So what say you? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all for a live stream tomorrow. Toodle fucking pip.